Old friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. I saw a study. It was actually the pictures that drew me into it, but it's in Holland. They're looking to bring back some of the more risky play parks. You know, the kind that we had as a kid, the kind where it was, what were they? You would, like the spinning things had, I don't even know what they're called, merry-go-round kind of vibe, but you run around on like the metal stuff and you jump back on and it was just dangerous, but they're bringing these back. I think they are called playground spinners, I think. Anyway, dangerous and so much fun. Oh, the exhilaration of actually being able to run and then jump onto the moving platform and then spinning around, seeing the world go by in these lines of colors of the green and the sky blue. And so in some parts of Dutch society, they're saying, let's bring this back. Our kids need to learn how to navigate the risk and learn what's a safe and a healthy risk and what is a risk they shouldn't take. And so they are encouraging kids to play hide and go seek outside, teaching them to start fires, obviously in a safe environment. They are building with hammers. They are play fighting with sticks. Yes. So this is a new proposed policy, and I'm so curious as to what the end result will be. They want it to be more rough and tumble so that our kids can better learn those boundaries that they need to have in real life. So there you go. What are your thoughts? Should we make the playgrounds a little like they were once again? Although honestly, getting rid of those really high, steep metal slides that burnt your legs in the summer heat when you went down, I am good to never have any child on those again. Ouch. It's Hollie Taylor, and we are heading into the season of love, right? We've got Valentine's Day just a few days away, and it's interesting to see how the things that we look for in a significant other have changed over the years. I mean, I remember when I was younger, it was all about, I want somebody who I can trust and someone who is athletic and someone who has a sense of humor. But now career is actually rating pretty high in the list of what this new generation is looking for in a spouse, and not just like any career. Apparently, there are more desirable careers than others. For example, 64 are willing to date someone who has graduated from school. So if you've graduated, you got a 50% chance there. But even more so, it's looking as though for both genders, 24% prefer a lawyer, 16% would love a scientist. So it's just very interesting. 21% of women specifically are interested in dating entrepreneurs. So I am quite fascinated by this, just seeing how both genders looking for one thing, women, again, leading towards other kinds of careers. But ultimately, it's the passion that seems to be coming in at the most important part. Like they want to be with someone who's passionate about what they do. And that's about 40%. So that's not too bad. That's the highest. But to get me thinking about some of those things that you looked for or are looking for when it comes to a spouse, a significant other, and just the values that we have. And have they changed over the years? I'm curious. 905-338-1250. I appreciate my husband's qualities in a very different way now than I did when we first got married. And it was about I want someone to support me and protect me and me reciprocally with them. And now it's like calm down a little bit. Like someone more that I can love and who loves my kids and who we work well together with, and we can be a good team. So it's just interesting to see how the weight on those traits that you look for, it shifts and changes depending on the phase of life that you are in. So I'm curious, top traits that you love in your spouse, 905-338-1250. You're listening to Good Company, and we're talking about those traits that we love in our spouse, and maybe they've changed over the years. It's so fascinating to see how you change as time goes on and your journey changes and your phase of life changes. I mean, I'm in a different phase than producer Mike. I mean, producer Mike, what are you looking for in a lady?
Put me on the spot, huh?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm really open-minded to anything, really.
It's about the connection?
Yeah, it's not about the job that she has.
Yeah.
It's not like, I need to make sure she's a financial advisor because I'm having trouble with my money. I got to make sure she's a doctor because,
I'm always sick.
Yeah, I got a cough. I don't know. It seems kind of silly to me to base it on, what they do.
Yeah.
But I can also see the part where it's about how passionate they are. You mentioned that
sure.
in your last break.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm stumped on this one.
Okay.
I really have no answer.
All right. Well, producer Mike's a blank slate. 905-338-1250. Feel free to text in. This is nice from Diane. She says that this wasn't on her radar before she got married, but now it's about prioritizing that work-personal life balance has become a priority in their marriage. So I would say for sure, times are very different now than they were, I'm going to say 5 years ago even, 6 years ago. And priorities have changed. I'm seeing a lot more conversations about self-care and making sure you put your own oxygen mask on first so you can be there for your family in a healthy, strong way. So thank you so much for your message. The desire to be a good leader and a good team player. That says Steve. And let's do one more. Oh, an adventurous spirit. I love that about my husband, Dave, says Meredith. So Meredith now loves her husband's adventurous streak. Would being kind to yourself be a little bit of maybe optimism? I'd like to think so, instead of sitting in that seat of negativity. I'm Hollie Taylor for Joy Radio, and happy National Optimistic Day. It is the first Thursday in February. I know James this morning was talking about it, and it's important, I think, to remind ourselves that even in stressful, unpleasant situations, you can often find things that are worthy of optimism. Now, we all know that person who is always optimistic and they're pretty annoying. I would like to think that's not me. I don't know. Producer Mike might say otherwise. I have bad days.
You're pretty optimistic, though.
Which is funny because my mom would say I'm a pessimist. So maybe I use up all my optimism at work and I just save my pessimism for being at home. But I love that this is a day. I think it's important to get into the habit and routine of being optimistic. And it's not an easy thing to do, but there are so many blessings. And maybe that's a great place to start, is by counting those blessings. That's a scriptural thing. There's even songs about it. You know it. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. I'll stop there and I won't break into song for the sake of producer Mike's ears. But I don't know, it just can really change your day and give a little pep in your step. So if you're feeling a little glum, a little ho-hum, I mean, that's to be expected. I don't remember the last time we had a decent amount of sunlight. That will impact you too. But let's talk about how we can be optimistic, even when we don't feel like it. Feel free to text in 905-338-1250 with some of the things you do to turn that frown upside down. I'm Hollie Taylor. I want a really great start when we pray. And things can happen. Things can change. And so maybe you are feeling a little negative today. Maybe start with a word of prayer. Lots of ways to get into that habit of being optimistic in a non-irritating way and in a truly authentic way. I mean, people in this day and age, we can smell a fake a mile away. And when someone's just being positive for the sake of being positive, that's irritating. But when it comes from a genuine place of they are truly finding something to be optimistic about, I think that's a whole different level. So we can actually appreciate the good and the bad in our life. I think if you can reframe some of the bad into that was a great learning experience, it helps take away some of that sting. Also, taking time just to have some quiet and accept who you are. God made you to be a pretty cool person, and that's worth accepting wholeheartedly. This one's really hard for me, and it's to challenge the negative self-talk. I am super hard on myself, and so I will try to say those nice positive things like, you did a great job today. But then in my head, I'm like, yeah, except for when you did that. Right? Like the negative voice in the head is strong. And sometimes we just need to tell it to be quiet. And it's okay to make mistakes and to learn. So anyway, what else have you done to shift the negative into a positive? Text in 905-338-1250. It looks like Tyler says, I remind myself that I always have a choice and anything is possible. Having those realistic outlooks can help me be positive. Yeah, I like that. Because you do always have a choice. You can choose to be grateful. You can choose to be grouchy. And anything is possible. You just never know how your life will change in an instant, for good or not so good. Hollie Taylor here, and I have another bucket list for you. Producer Mike has always thought it's for something to do before you die.
Isn't it?
Nah.
This is what it
No.
do before you kick the bucket?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is 2025.
All right.
Would you rather be a goal list?
Yeah, I don't know what else you'd call it. I guess a bucket list is a lot more attractive sounding.
Yeah, it's more fun.
Okay.
So bear with me.
All right.
These are some must see, must experience, must do, must eat, must buy kind of things to do. And so some of them are, and this is bucket list must sees, Niagara Falls, Banff National Park, CN Tower, Old Quebec. I don't know this one. I think it's in Quebec. Gros Morne National Park? Am I saying that right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Stanley Park, PEI, Capilano Suspended Bridge, Athabasca Glacier, and Peggy's Cove. Some must-sees in our country. How many of those have you seen? Okay, and then my favorite one, some must-eats, poutine, butter tarts, maple syrup treats, which I think they're gross. Beaver tails, Nanaimo bars. We were just talking about those. Tortiere. These French words, I tell ya. What is that? Producer Mike, you knew how to say it.
It's a meat pie.
Tortiere.
Yeah, tortiere. Yeah.
Well,
I think at one point it was actually made out of a type of bird that the first settlers to Canada made this out of. No joke. And they hunted the bird to extinction. And so the original recipe is no longer available. Now it's just ground meat of some sort.
Oh.
Without Googling, I think that's how that story goes.
Okay, you can correct us if we're wrong.
Please do.
Montreal-style bagels. Well, maybe some of these must-eats can end up on your Sunday afternoon menu for snacks and treats for the Super Bowl. As we know, even if you don't like football, a lot of people still doing the Super Bowl parties at church as an outreach. So have an incredible weekend, and we'll tackle more of these Canadian must-dos as we tackle next week. But for now, have an incredible weekend, and we'll do this all over again on Monday. Take care. Well, that's a wrap. Those are our favorite memories from this past week. Join me for more Good Company live every weekday from 4:30 till 6 p.m. here on Joy Radio. Oh, and don't forget, you can also catch up by subscribing to our Joy Radio podcast. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, text 905-338-1250. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday.